Hi, I'm Dr. Sharon DeVivo, president of Vaughn College, now in our 90th year, and host of our podcast, Future Proof Focus. Through unscripted, honest conversations with prominent industry leaders, students, faculty, and alumni, we will explore diversity, equity, and inclusion in education and employment, and the forces that drive personal and career growth. Let's dive in. Hey, everybody. We are thrilled today to have Philip Bredu, class of 2022, joining the podcast today. He graduated with his mechanical engineering bachelor's degree from Vaughn last year and is currently a test engineer at Georgia Power. Welcome to the podcast, Philip.
Hey, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Yeah, absolutely. So tell me, when did you first get interested in engineering? Did you know this is what you wanted to do with your life at an early age?
Yeah, exactly. In high school, I majored in, we have something, I'm from Ghana. So in our educational system, when you get to high school, you could major in science, in arts, visual arts, or whatever you want. And I majored in science because I found it interesting. I found equipment, the internet, computers interesting at a young age. And I also thought science and technology was cool. And every day there is advancements in science. Our phones get more powerful, and I just feel like it's cool. It's a lot to learn. So, and also math and physics never scared me away. So I knew that I could do it.
Oh, that's all right. So I have to ask because you brought up Ghana. How'd you get to the US?
My dad was here. He's been here for over 20 years, and when he had his citizenship, he filed for us to come and live with him because he was here alone. So my brother and I came to the US.
How old were you when you came here?
I was 18. I just
Okay.
completed high school. Yeah.
Oh, true. And so tell me, how'd you find Vaughn then?
So when I came to the US, I applied for Bronx Community College, and I did 2.5 years there. And I think after that, I saw an email for a scholarship being offered by Vaughan, and yeah, and I responded, and that's how I got into Vaughan.
Oh, that's terrific. Yeah, that's right. We were doing that program with CUNY schools.
Yeah,
Oh, that's terrific. Oh, neat. All right. So you were a transfer student. So were you here for 2 years? 3 years?
yeah, I was here for about 2.5 years.
Okay.
Yeah.
And what was your experience like as a Vaughn student? How did we get you to where you are now?
My experience as a Vaughan student was great. I never had problems with any faculty or staff or anything. I got everything I needed, from financial aid to advisory to career services. Everyone was helpful throughout my journey. So I'm glad that I met everyone, and uh, that's it. It was great. Like that's all I could say. If I have the chance to do it, I'll do it all over again, just without COVID.
Yeah. Oh, right. That's right. Yeah. Yeah. Most of your time with us would have been spent online, I'm guessing,
Yeah.
except for labs.
Yes, that's true.
Yeah. Oh my goodness. So tell me who some of your favorite faculty members were and why.
My Some of my favorite faculties, they are all in the engineering departments. Dr. Amir was really helpful, especially getting to my final stages. I did my degree project with him, and he helped me throughout the way with the meetings and everything. Dr. Rahimi, Professor Yankee, earlier on, a lot of them, like on the top of my head, all your classes were great. All of them were really helpful. Since it's small classes, so you get that personal help that you need, and your progress is kind of like tracked and you're paid attention to. So they told me everything I needed, and I loved it.
That's terrific. Did you make some good friends while you were here too?
Oh yeah, I made a lot of friends. Some of them I still keep in contact with, and we talk from time to time, and they are also doing their thing.
That's terrific. So when did you decide that power was a field you wanted to be part of?
After I basically last year, after I finished my um, internship with Georgia Power, I was like, yeah, this is something that I love. This is something that I want to do. It was challenging. It was a great experience. I got to go on the field, had hands-on experience. Went for a lot of engineering meetings, got to meet other engineers, people doing different stuff that I had no idea about, and I had no idea the field was that diverse and that huge. So that was great. And after that, I was like, yeah, I definitely want to work in the power industry.
All right, so back up. How'd you get that internship at Georgia Power?
So I got that internship through Nesby.
You
I
want to
think,
just tell everybody what NSBE is? National
oh,
Society for Black Engineers.
engineers, yeah, yeah. Hey, you should join it definitely. Yeah, it was a great experience, and I'm glad I went to it. And Vaughn sponsored me to go, so I went there. I spoke to a variety of companies at the conference, at the career fair, and I went to they call it the hospitality suite. That's like after the career fair, the companies have their own thing they do. I met one of the supervisors. I was speaking to different people, and he offered me to come to Valdosta, Georgia, and try an internship. And that's how I ended up here.
That's great. So, as a direct result of that internship,
Hmm.
you must have knocked their socks off, and that's how you got the job. Is that what happened?
Hopefully, that's what happened because uh, I went to Valdosta for 4 months last summer and completed the internship. And I came back to school to do my finish my degree project. And I think one afternoon they called me, the recruiter called me and told me that I had an offer and I should let them know if I'm gonna go full time. And I was like, it took me about a week, talking with my dad and stuff. And I was like, yeah, sure, I'm definitely not skipping this.
So, what went into the decision making process?
Basically, my dad, because I've lived with my dad since I've been in New York, and I had to move states and have to be by myself again. Now this time I wasn't like really gonna come back, so that was it. But I'd already been here. I knew what to expect, and I made a few friends, so it wasn't that hard of a decision.
Well, it sounds like the internship not only prepared you to really like the power industry and also to specifically like Georgia Power, but also to get a sense of what it was like to live in Georgia and to make some friends. And so that really was a critical step in your journey to the job you're in now.
Yes, that's
Yeah.
definitely true. Without the internship, would have made it a harder decision,
Hmm.
but with the internship, I definitely knew what was like I was getting into, what was there, what was out there,
Right.
and I'd already met my currently co-workers. I'd already worked with them, so I knew who was there.
That's
So
great.
that made the decision really easy.
Yeah. I mean, and it must be hard too because you're away from family now. I mean, how's the transition been over the last little less than a year, actually? And especially to go from New York to Georgia, that's another big shift. It was probably like going from Ghana to New York, right?
Yeah, it was a big shift. I am like in the country, so it's different from New York culture wise. It's slower down here. The people I coming here, hearing them speak, I had a difficult time like understanding them already with my accent. So I'm getting used to that with the movements.
Yes, I
Different,
definitely detect a southern drawl in your in that accent you
yeah,
have now.
yeah, yeah, different lingos down here, and it's country. It's slower, and
Hmm.
um, living by yourself too is. I didn't realize the amount of work that goes into moving
Right.
you're on your own. So having to order stuff, having to set up a whole new apartment
Yeah.
and get stuff together. And there are no trains here, and you have to drive everywhere, and it's different.
Right.
So it's been um, let me say a roller coaster for 6 months that I've been here.
Right.
I'm getting settled in. So,
That's great. So tell me what's a day like for you as a test engineer?
so a day like as a test engineer is two things. Either I'm in the office if there is nothing to do in the field, or I'm in the field learning something, looking at different equipment, mainly relays and every other equipment in a substation. So protective relaying, batteries, breakers, transformers, and different like substation equipments that you have to learn. You have to do sometimes you have to do wiring. So I have to learn how to like strip wires and stuff like that. Um, you have to write a JSB. You have to learn. You have to listen. You have to know to ask questions. Um, and you just never stop learning. It's different. It's a different thing every day. So sometimes it's not what you expect. Sometimes it's something that you plan in the office. So that's how it is.
And is Georgia Power thinking about sort of the next power solution, right? Whether it's solar or wind or and how to distribute that power across the grid. What are some of the things that you're starting to see them thinking about?
Um, Speaking about solar, I think yesterday and Wednesday. Yesterday was Thursday. Yeah, yesterday and Wednesday, I was in a solar farm, one substation there in a solar farm, and we were installing some equipment to monitor fault currents. So solar is one of the big um, like new generation in the south because of the amount of land here. So I got to I've got to work in a few of them, and I think during management meetings they are talking about putting a new nuclear a plant online, two nuclear plants, huge ones, and it's gonna be like the first plant in 30 years or so. That's what they told us. And they feel like nuclear is going to be the future to replace coal. But there is also wind, there is also solar. That's what I know. And they always tell us to think about sustainable energy because the customers, like the huge customers, are asking for carbon-free emissions, something like that. So I think that's where it's heading to.
Yeah, yeah, absolutely. Interesting that the business side is pushing the state to make those kinds
Hmm.
of investments.
Yeah.
So, I mean, would you recommend the power industry to current Vaughn students or recent grads like you?
Yeah, yeah, it's a lot of opportunities. Definitely recommend. There's a lot of learning. As a mechanical and electrical engineer, this is a spot to be. The learning never stops. Something new. You get to meet different people with different experiences in like different sides of the job that I didn't know existed. There is the field side, and then there is the office design, the wiring. A lot of it goes into it. So it's if you want like on field, you want to be wiring stuff and testing voltages and stuff. This is one of the jobs that I think you're gonna like because there's a lot to it.
So, what's next for you? Like, do you want to create a career at Georgia Power? Is there a job there that you particularly got your eye on, or are you interested in looking someplace else? What are you thinking?
Um, Next for me is I love this role and this job. I definitely want to see myself doing this for a long time as I don't see anything else pulling me away now. I love working with the relays and testing them. So maybe a position that is more focused on relays is something that I would love. But as a field engineer, you do relays, you do a lot of different equipments. You have to install, you have to work on projects. So this like makes you diversified in like different skills, not just one aspect. And I just see myself as a testing engineer now. Maybe location in the future, see myself moving because there isn't a lot to do down here. So
Come back to New York.
if the opportunity arises and it's a good one, definitely I'll be back.
So, is there if a student is considering a career in engineering or particularly in power, what would you suggest? And is there anything that you wish you'd known earlier that could have helped you in terms of discovering this field?
If a student wants to be in power, I would say transmission. If you want the most hands-on, intensive, like aggressive, like you want to learn, you want to test stuff and do stuff. Transmission, test engineer, transmission substations is like the place. As a field engineer, there's a lot, and you would never get like bored, especially in the fall, because in the summer it gets hot and they don't want you to drop load or they don't want to take things out of service. So our work ahead is done in the fall. So I'm looking forward to this fall. It's gonna be my first time working within that, like around that time. So I would say if you're interested in power, definitely there's transmission, but there is also like numerous stuff that I don't think I'm familiar with myself that you could do if you want to design, if you want to do calculations, if you want to sit in the office and just analyze. There are so many positions that are out there that they're also particularly hiring. So you could look into that.
Yeah, terrific. Well, it's so funny because I was just thinking about the times that I don't have the heat or the air conditioning on. And I would
Yeah,
imagine those are the times that power companies are particularly working on upgrading and investing in infrastructure and things like that because that's the least disruptive time in case something
yes,
goes wrong.
yes,
Oh,
definitely.
interesting.
I don't want anything in the summer out.
Uh-huh.
Yeah,
Yeah. My downtime is your uptime.
yeah.
That's that's great. So, one question I ask all of my podcast guests is what is the most daring thing you've ever done and how did you talk yourself into it?
The most daring thing I ever did was coming here the first time. That's by far the most daring thing because I didn't know this place. I've never heard of this town, and to a different state, buying the plane ticket, finding accommodation. What I did was I signed a 1 year lease, and I was knew I was going to be here for like 4 months for the summer, but everywhere was offering a 1 year lease, so I went with it, and I had to find someone else to take over my lease so I could come back to New York and complete. So, because I didn't want to pay out of pocket if I wasn't there. Also, um, something I didn't know was like there wasn't a good form of public transportation. I think there's no trains, there's no MTA down here. So I found that like the hard way. But I met someone who was kind enough to lend me their car, and also yeah, meeting friends, making friends. There was another guy from New Jersey that also was here, and he had left the company. So one of my coworkers told me about him, and I connected with him, and he connected me down with friends over here. So that was a good one. So there were like many obstacles that I had to overcome during my internship, and I'm glad I did take it because it led me here, and I'm happy where I am right now.
Yeah, that's incredible. Yeah, that ability to stretch yourself and grow and
Yeah,
work through the fear and be adaptable. It sounds like
yes,
it had a huge payoff because you wouldn't be where you are without having made the leap.
yes, that's
Yeah,
true.
that's terrific. Oh, that's great. So, thank you so much, Philip, for being here. What a great conversation, and we're so proud of you. We really are.
Thank you.
Um, for all those Vaughn engineering students, this is a great way to think about another career field. And engineering students out there, average starting salaries for Vaughn engineering students are, in the low 80s, and that could be a possibility for those of you listening as well. And this is a field that really is going to change probably dramatically over the next decade as we introduce more alternative energy and offers lots of exciting, as Philip talked about, lots of exciting opportunities to both be in an office and be out in the field to get a taste of work outside of four walls, right? Um, so, and we know that engineering jobs, we will not produce enough engineers um, for the foreseeable future, and have great stability and potential for growth over time. So thank you again, Philip,
Thank
and best
you.
wishes, and we look forward to having you back in New York.
Yes,
Have a question? Email us at futureprooffocus@vaughn.edu. And don't forget to subscribe, follow, and rate the podcast. Thanks for listening, and see you next time.